We are now onto a very exciting session. The session is Mobile E-Commerce, Evolution and Future. Our moderator for the session is Mr. Ashish Chalani, and our panelists are Ratul Ghosh, Saran Chatterjee, Alok Goyal, Alok Deep Singh, and Nayan Beda. Ashish Chalani is the founder and CEO of E-Tailing India. He has over 18 years of work experience in the retail and internet retail industry in India and the US. Ratul Ghosh heads strategy at eBay, where he is responsible for driving the mobile commerce business and leading advertising sales for the company. Saran Chatterjee is the VP of Products at Flipkart. Alok Goyal is the Chief Products Officer in Redbus.in. At this time, Redbus.in is one of the largest transacted e-commerce website in the country and recently exited for an enterprise value of over 700 crores. Alok Deep Singh heads e-commerce business at Titan Industries. In 2010, he was awarded, He was awarded as IDC's Enterprise Innovation Award for IT and Business Excellence in India. Mr. Nayan Beda is the founding managing director, Trans Retail Ventures. With an experience of over 20 years in ICT, he has emerged as a leading businessman by incorporating ventures in India, UK, and Australia. Over to the panelists. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we have a huge panel today, talking about mobile commerce, one of the hottest topics out there. Our panel is going to be very simple. We're going to start off with a few points ourselves, then open it up for everybody else to ask Q&A. Initially, the panel, we wanted to start off by defining what mobile commerce was. I want to have Alok and Ratul kind of give their views on what mobile commerce are, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Ratul. I take care of strategy for eBay. And eBay has a unique vantage point when it comes to mobile commerce because we could choose one perspective, which is the global perspective, where mobiles already happened long back. About 20% of our revenues globally are coming from the mobile platform. And it's really evolved to a stage when there's a lot of other solutions like barcode scanning directly from the mobile to search for something on eBay. eBay Now, which is like a direct delivery model. This all has taken off in the West. In India, however, our take on the market is that it's a great time to build engagement with the users. It's a great time to encourage what we call mobile-assisted commerce and encourage people to check on prices before they go out shopping, because I believe that's going to be the first stage of mobile commerce in India. The tagline is reach for your mobile phone before you reach for your wallet. And we believe that mobile commerce is actually much bigger than the amount of transactions which are completing on mobile today, because mobile is influencing a lot of other decisions. Just like we call cash on delivery an e-commerce transaction, even though the transaction is really happening offline. But e-commerce really influences that decision. In a similar way, just like you have people researching online, buying offline, researching offline, buying online. There are people who research on the mobile and then buy online. There are people who actually research online and buy on the mobile, when the right price is reached, and they're probably on their way back. So like some of the panels earlier said, it's a much more personal device. It's a very engaging device. In terms of touch points, it's really with you all day. It's definitely where the future is. And given the unique things about India that we talked about earlier, price points of the devices and the pipeline, and we feel that it's going to be at least as big, but most probably much, much bigger than it is for us globally. So that's how we see mobile commerce today. Thanks.
Alok?
So in my view, actually, earlier in the morning, I looked up on Google, what is the definition of commerce? While everyone knows about it, but I said, okay, let's look at what are the sort of technical words that are used to define commerce. And one of the definitions which caught my attention was that commerce is a social interaction, economic interactions among people. The social interactions which involve some kind of economic value. And if you take that as the definition of commerce, then mobile has an amazingly big angle to play in there. Because if you take this device is actually a faster computer than the first computer that I bought about a decade ago. It has got better computing power, it has got better memory, it has got better speed, and what else? It has got a microphone, so it can hear everything that I'm hearing. It has got a camera, so it can see everything that I'm seeing. It has got a touch screen, so it sort of feels the touch and everything, and it has got the location. And while it is in my pocket, it always know where I am. So it's kind of my buddy, which is there in my pocket, 24/7. Wherever I go, domestic or international, whatever I do in life, it's with me. And if that is true for this device, and if definition of commerce is what we discussed a little bit earlier, then m-commerce is clearly sort of coming out clearly, right? In my view, wherever mobile is playing a role in any of those exchange of economic value, that's what m-commerce is in my view. And with that definition, you can sort of go into the transaction side of the world. If you take the recharge websites, if you take the travel booking websites, if you take e-retail websites, all of these, when offered through mobile, are the m-commerce. But at the same time, if a guy is actually doing a research offline and then tries to buy online, like my colleague from eBay was talking about, and that is also m-commerce. And in that same sense, if you look at a lot of innovation happening in the US, a lot of applications like Shopcake and these kind of things coming up, that's a great use case of m-commerce that is emerging in the world. So m-commerce is really very, very broad. In my view, wherever mobile is playing a role in the economic transactions or commerce, that is m-commerce.
Great. Would you guys like to add?
Just to add to that, right? So one of the things we are seeing at Flipkart is, I think it's been mentioned here. So mobile today is a serendipitous discovery sort of vehicle, right? So people do a lot of casual browsing on mobile. At least that's what we've seen based on our analysis of our users. And we've done some very basic ethnographic studies as well, just to understand these a little bit better. And what we're seeing is that mobile is today, the future is great for all the reasons that have been talked about. But if you ask me today, it is really that vehicle that we use today to sort of get these guys sort of onto sort of shopping, right? So these guys are actually discovering, they're browsing, but they're just not very comfortable buying yet, but they're browsing a lot. And today what we give, the experience that we provide to them when they're browsing is actually very, it just doesn't, it doesn't cater to what they're really looking for when they're trying to browse and when they're trying to kind of discover what they really should be buying. So we miss, we sort of, generally if you look at India where we are, we sort of miss that point in terms of how do you solve for that casual browser on mobile, which is sort of the more primary use case today. And people have solved for transaction, people are solving for a bunch of other things, right? But I think the bigger problem in m-commerce today is the casual browser. That's your persona, and that's somebody you have to solve for very well.
Kind of expressing my views on mobile commerce. I come from actually two industries, banking, where we've seen the mobile use case grow by leaps and bounds, and now commerce. So typically, talking about transactions, talking about the experience, it's the medium for the future. So today, as what we see even in Titan, today we've launched an e-commerce site just about 3 months back. We're seeing enough traction in terms of more than 15% of our users accessing the site from mobile devices. So there is transaction play, there is in terms of people using it as an experiential device, people looking at using it as a device to kind of view products which they eventually might purchase from the brick and mortar. So the concept that we call this is called as showrooming. So mobile today, while for the banks it's a different use case, it's an alternate channel where they save money by the customer not coming to the branch and instead doing transactions through the mobile. In case of retail, it's a different case where we're looking at today mobile as an experiential medium. So the customer experiences the product on his handheld and he lands up at the showroom. And in future, we're probably seeing a power play of more technologies like location-based services in terms of further personalizing it. So it's not going to remain just the dumb device that you carry in your hand. It's going to become your companion. It's going to become, you're going to be married to the device for all your needs in the next couple of years to come.
So, Alok, while we're on the subject, So what approach should people take on mobile commerce as far as building a mobile site, as far as building apps? What's your thought?
So it's largely there is no one size fit all approach when it comes to I would say retail and even banking. So I can talk about my experience in banking, where it's largely it's a data focused approach. There is a large amount of security involved, and at the same time there are a lot of things that the financial app has to do, which is the primary reason where today banks in India are focusing on applications. When I come to retail, it is clearly fragmented. So while we have transactions like recharges also being a composition of mobile commerce, but largely it is a way how you feel, what suits you best, whether it is a mobile site where you want to launch first and understand the way the customers are surfing your mobile site, they are viewing the catalog pages, they are viewing the experience, and then get on to the application journey, because the application journey is a tedious and an expensive one. Even while we call it an application, there are probably different OSs, there is a choice between a native and a hybrid, and then the whole aspect of changing the build or getting a new build whenever there's a new operating system launched in the market. So for a retailer, I would say the first step to the journey would be optimizing his site, creating a mobile version so that the customer gets a similar experience what he gets on a desktop or on a laptop device, translating it to the mobile or the tablet, and then deciding basis his needs to get into an application mode or not.
Sir?
Wanted to add the eBay experience here, which is also the full site on mobile is also a reality for many people now, especially with screen sizes above 5 inches becoming very common, data speeds really happening, especially in large towns. You don't have a problem. So our mobile commerce survey said that we have more 3G users and 2G users, and if 4G were to happen, and so sites are becoming lighter, some of them are becoming responsive, and so this entire mix is becoming very interesting. We actually don't know which direction it's going to go. If responsive web really takes off, then mobile web could just be a stepping stone in between, which some companies could surpass. So full site on mobile is a very big reality for us.
Right. Sir?
So again, there's no one answer to the question, but the way sort of I've thought of this question, we faced this problem when I was at Yahoo before recently at Flipkart, and the answer to this question is that it really depends what your overall sort of objective is. So Flipkart for the longest time, even today doesn't actually have a mobile app. The app that we have essentially is a wrapper on our sort of HTML5 experience. So basically, it again depends on the objective, like where you are in that journey to sort of meet your users' needs. So for instance, if your need is to have again the choice, for instance, get something out, experiment, or if your need is again just very transactional, where the need for differentiated interaction is not as high, or you get a bulk of your traffic, say from SEO, SEM, right? If you're getting that today, then it behooves you to sort of focus on your mobile website and get that right first, right? Because it gives you access to all the platforms. That's where your traffic is coming today, and you better make sure that those users that are coming to your sort of experiencing your site through sort of these channels actually met with the best possible experience. What we're seeing over time as the user evolves, and when the need for differentiated interaction, need for sort of notification-specific experiences, when that becomes more important, right? Then there are kind of things when the needs of that user can't be met through a mobile website, right? That's when you sort of go into sort of creating more of a sort of a native app-like experience, right? And even there, the choices are there between hybrid and pure native. So again, as I said, right, within all of this, it all depends on sort of where you are in that journey and what the overall objectives are. And I think that should really decide sort of your overall sort of portfolio strategy between site and app. I think both are important, but it really depends which one is more important. important at this point of time for you to focus on. So the case in point being that we decided specifically to focus on our mobile website. Actually for 6 months, we could have very easily taken a mobile app route, a native app 6 months back and launched something out in the market. We consciously didn't do that. We, for reasons that I talked about, we said that let's get our mobile website, let's get it to perform at a speed that is acceptable. Let's create an experience for the users that are landing there to be at a point where they sort of at least are not kind of feeling, just not meeting their basic expectations. So I mean, that's the thing. It really depends on your objective and where you are.
Just taking Saran's thing a little bit further, I think there are two key questions here which need to be answered. First is, do you need mobile website as well as the app or not? And the second question is, can you afford to have both the things or not? And the answer to first question in my view is yes. You need to have both website as well as the app because you need to be where your consumers are. These two things are really the distribution channels. If let's say you are a mobile phone recharge company and there are a lot of people who are searching on Google or on a mobile phone as a web as well as on the Android Play Store, you don't want to leave one kind of customer over the other because, hey, you are saying I want to focus only on the web users and not on the app users. That's not the right strategy to go. So treat website, mobile website and the mobile app more as a distribution strategy, and hence you should be wherever your consumers are. So you need both. But now the question comes, can you afford to have both? And there the things, the insights that Saran was sharing plays a very key role. As a small early stage startup, you probably don't have resources to actually commit to both. And at that point of time, you have to take prioritization. And perhaps at that stage, you can make one prioritization which sort of serves both the things, which is that develop a good HTML5 website, but build a wrapper around this and offer this as a hybrid app on the Play Store as well. So you have kind of tapped both the web customers as well as the opportunity which was there on the market, Play Store, but you are really investing and you're really developing on only one platform because as you invest in multiple platforms, your speed of innovation seriously gets compromised. Your time to go to market with every new feature becomes 3 or 4 folds once you have got the iPhone, Android, and now the Windows Phone app as well. So managing these many platforms is difficult. So maybe a beginning strategy is to have a hybrid app where you take the same HTML5 experience, offer it and as a wrapper app and tap into the Android Play Store customers. But then slowly as you evolve as a company, then you can move into the more native experience which will allow you to have push notifications, a much, much better seamless user experience and all these kind of things. It all depends on can you afford.
Kind of tagging along with the same analogy. So I have 2 use cases. So one was with an organization which wanted to use the mobile channel as a differentiator to the bank in terms of their USP for selling to customers of bigger banks. So they wanted to create it as a differentiator. So they decided to kind of build an application which is a native application on each of the 3 major platforms. They decided to also build a mobile site. So the reason was a mobile site encompassing the entire browser family from an Opera to the entire range of it. The reasoning there was that they wanted to envelop the length and the breadth of the market. They wanted the customer to come onto the application, have a nice experience. If you're not able to download the application, surf it through the mobile browser, and at the end of the day, do transactions. So that is one use case. The other use case is perhaps a retail organization which is just, or I would say an aggregator like Flipkart or elsewhere, which is primarily getting its customers today through the main website, while a lot of people are also accessing the site through mobile. So I personally feel that there is a need to get into a mobile site. An application is something which can probably wait for some time, given the fact that today an application will not add much value, whereas the customer will continuously have to consume an update. While a mobile site is much more user friendly, if his intent is just to browse the product, browse the catalog, probably end up purchasing it on the main site or on the offline store. A mobile site is something which is a much more friendly and a feasible option, and a faster go to market.
So with the different strategies, keeping them in mind, what kind of key challenges do you guys see in the mobile commerce space. Yeah?
Okay, my experience with mobile and to B2B, I have worked very, very closely into tier 2, tier 3 cities in mobile, and that too in a B2B space, enabling a lot of small retailers to enable transactions and make some money out of that. During this period, I have come across and we found some solution which I wouldn't call it a challenge, but what needs to be done, a couple of things which I would definitely recommend. One is we need to have a lot of this, like you were saying, the mobile sites, or they need to be in a regional language. That will definitely add to the, I mean, it will work like a catalyst to the mobile commerce. Secondly, a lot of these companies like Flipkart or eBay, they need to do a whitelisting with the telcos. Now, whitelisting is perhaps not many people know, but these telcos, they can offer their website to open without the user being subscribed to data. You must have seen when you, a lot of these telcos, they, when you buy the services, you can open Google or Facebook without subscribing to data. Now, why Google? Why Facebook? Why not Flipkart? Why not eBay? Okay, so these companies need to talk to telcos and say, here, whitelist us, and the user, especially in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, who has still not subscribed to data and hence is deprived of getting the experience of mobile commerce, they should have the free option to go to visit the sites and get a first-hand experience. And of course, later on, the telcos can charge, or maybe they can have some kind of arrangement with those companies and have some kind of an revenue plan between both of them, so that both the parties are compensated nicely.
So the telecom space is also changing. So we've heard talks about the Qualcomms and the Reliance, Jio and Infocoms of the world. So I see this market changing, especially in the case of tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where personally we get a lot of our orders from cities within Tamil Nadu, not the major ones, or elsewhere in the country, especially for products like jewelry. So today, the person has conviction in the channel. He's buying that purchase online. He's buying an expensive piece of jewelry online. If tomorrow a Reliance or an Airtel were to give him a handheld, which necessarily does not mean a mobile, which means maybe a tablet or maybe a hybrid of the two, which is in the range of about $4,000 to $5,000, which comes with data inbuilt at a cheaper cost. The same person who probably is buying or making that purchase on the desktop device becomes immediately, he transitions onto the mobile device, which is the use case for India, at least I see in the next 2-3 years, given the amount of investments which both these companies, Reliance and Airtel, have done into the 4G space and making data, which is today still an expensive commodity. So it will obviously become much more common and much more, I would say, accessible to the end user.
I'm going to go back to, so I'm the product guy here, right? So I'm going to go back to the amount of time you spend to really understand the shopping behavior of that user. At least, I've not been able to spend a significant amount of time trying to, or we are trying to spend now, a significant amount of time really trying to understand, like, what is that shopping behavior of a user in India on the mobile device. Everything kind of, so when you asked about the challenge, right? So one is to really understand that deeply, and then sort of put the right sort of, and then go from there. Not many people that at least I've spoken to have, everybody's got this hypothesis, right? These are very good hypotheses, but some of these hypotheses are yet to be validated. So we know when users sort of interact or use their device. But however, going much more deeply. So that, to me, that would be number one. Like just understanding or having a much deeper understanding of a user's behavior on the mobile, and then from there going into sort of this shopping behavior, right? At least I'm talking in the context of Flipkart. So that would be one. Secondly, assuming that is happening, that takes time, right? So as I was saying before, right, just being able to offer this user the right experience based on the device that he's using. Today, I don't think you have you know, again, I mean, would love to sort of poll this crowd and see kind of if you have sort of gone to any mobile website today in India, what's sort of your take? Like, do you feel that it's optimal, it meets your needs? So that experience on the device seems like we could do a lot more than what we're doing today. Again, it's a journey. So that's a challenge, right, that all of us have to solve in terms of understanding the user's behavior, putting up the right experience in front of him. Obviously, transaction and payments is a big piece, right? I mean, how do you make it easy for this guy to just transact, right? Doesn't have to be the same boring checkout flow that you've seen on the desktop, right? It can be unique, differentiated, very specific to the mobile device, which a lot of us are thinking about. So I mean, understanding the user, creating the right experience for the user based on the type of device, type of connection that he's coming from, and then helping him sort of, you know, discover and transact very easily. Doesn't have to be sort of, you know, too complicated, 4 steps, 5 steps, and we talk about all of these things, right? So keep it simple. Solve all of the related issues around payments along the way. So those are, I would say, those are sort of your very basic set of challenges, which I think we just have to overcome. And if you look at the Western world, I mean, you know, these guys are solving a different set of problems right now. We are sort of solving the first set of problems compared to what's being solved in the Western world.
Just to add to Saran, I agree with him. We are still a lot of trends are emerging. What I see is that the services which can be instantly fulfilled are the first set of the transactions which will happen or are happening on mobile. So you make a bill payment on mobile and you get an instant receipt or instant acknowledgement from the company. You do a recharge and you get an instant acknowledgement. You do a money transfer. Now these are the services which are fulfilled there. It's instant gratification, and those sort of transactions would be happening or happening now first. Perhaps buying products or buying something which are a little more valuable, where the involvement of the user is more in those purchases, will perhaps take a secondary.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, just extending from what Saran just mentioned, a lot of us in India, just the example that was quoted, I think, a panel before this, about, you know, native mobile users versus immigrants to the mobile. I think some of us have grown up in times where now we think that, you know, mobile is an add-on to our business. And that is, I think, one of the challenges that we face, because mobile is a separate business for a lot of people. For eBay globally, mobile business exists separately. To understand that your mailers will work differently, your merchandise is going to work differently on whatever your mobile homepage or your app, to understand that registration is a different flow and people will not have time to fill up your normal registration flows on that. So it's going to be a very different approach, and I feel that the biggest opportunity here is to take, you know, we keep talking about mobile first and mobile only kind of consumers, but we still, you know, ask them for a lot of data that we never use, right? I mean, it's just that historically the web, it's easy to type and that. So I believe that is going to be one challenge, because all of us will have to relearn this business. It's just happening, and the consumers that Saran is talking about could be different. So the mobile customer is not a different customer. He's finding the same person who comes on the web, but in a certain need state, the mobile appeals more to him. Another need state, the web or maybe offline appeals to him. So right now we're missing out at that opportunity, which is the mobile need state. I don't know how much we use location now to give localized information. Mobiles are coming with accelerometers. So if the V example, the whole device took off because there was a different way to navigate that. So I think the verdict is still out on what mobile will look like tomorrow, but it's kind of clear that it might be very different from what the web looks like today.
I think I can actually provide a very concrete example of what you just talked about. And just before I get into this example, this need for having an original thinking of mobile is actually a very, very crucial thing. Don't think that mobile will just be a web ported onto the mobile device. That's going to fail. You need to have original thinking on mobile. One of the ways we are trying to solve that, or we are trying to have original thinking in the mobile on the Redbus side is, yes, our mobile experience provides booking very much same as the desktop experience provides booking. But the real core of the crux of the strategy for mobile is not just the booking experience. Booking experience is just there because it's our bread and butter. But the reason we think mobile can be a huge strategic advantage to us is because of the opportunities that mobile provides us to add value to a traveler's life during his journey. Imagine a bus traveler who is going from his home place to a different town. In a bus industry, everything is unstructured. There are no formal bus stops in the country where you just go and stand and then you are waiting for the bus and the bus will come kind of a thing. It's everything unstructured. You don't know where you're supposed to stand for the bus. You don't know how the bus stop is going to look like. You don't know where the bus is at this point of time. And our mobile strategy is completely focused towards solving those problems. So we actually went and mapped thousands of bus stops across 15 cities to a meter accurate GPS location, and we are offering that onto the mobile device. So a consumer can do a turn-by-turn driving directions to reach his boarding point, look at the photo, and then stand at the right place on the boarding point. And then he can do a live tracking of the bus to figure out, is my bus arrived or how much delayed it is. And that is the kind of thinking which we could have never had if we were thinking about porting desktop onto mobile. That can only be achieved by thinking about mobile in its original form and the mobile only thing that he just talked about. So you really need to have that kind of approach rather than porting desktop to mobile.
I think just to add to the use case for the traditional retailers. So I represent a company which has been into traditional retail for so many years. I see as mobile not only, well, travel is a very big thing. Today as a companion where you can actually, you can save on retail space today. So you can actually, because the cost of the whole retail store, the rentals, etc. is going up. So there are probably pilots in the market where you have the entire wall where a customer, Tesco is one example. In the UK there is been Home Shop 18 who's done it on the T3 terminal in Delhi. When you're on the move, you snap a particular product that you like. It's a nice looking wall which brings out the complete product experience, and you just about complete the transaction or you just order the product, depends upon the kind of model it is. And so obviously it's not a replacement for your bigger stores, but definitely these kind of models can help traditional retailers, or I would say even the smaller ones, look at options on saving on retail space. So it's about the USPs, as he's rightly brought out, is not completely about porting your website onto your mobile or giving a customer an additional option to do a transaction. Is to find specific use cases depending upon the industry, depending upon your product, where the customer can utilize and you can save on money and he can get a better experience.
Well, on the subject, why don't we cover also a little bit about wallets, because we're going to actually run out of time. So how wallets differ from standardized payments on mobile commerce? Or what are your thoughts on wallets that telco companies are launching?
Okay, when we say wallet, actually what it means is that you have the money in an electronic format in your pocket. So you're just transforming the money, which is your paper currency, into an electronic format. Now, either their wallets are account linked or they are not account linked. What it means when you say account linked means that the wallet or the money in your wallet is attached to your either a bank account or to your credit card or debit card or anything. And hence, if you have to transact through that wallet, you need to be online. The other form of wallet, which actually what we need in this country, is a wallet which is not account linked. That means you can have offline transactions. Okay. I don't know how many of you know, but RBI literally spends about 100 crore rupees to destroy soiled notes. There's a department altogether to destroy the soiled notes. Okay. What we need is, of course, it's a vision that we have, but we got to start somewhere now. It's happening in this country, where even a 5 rupee transaction could be made. You can give a 5 rupee or 10 rupee to rickshawala or a panwala. Now that's through wallet, and that's only possible if it's offline, because you cannot expect everybody to be online all the time. So today, what we see the money which Airtel Money or the mobile wallet being launched with the telcos, they are largely account linked. But down the line, RBI needs to come in with an offline wallet, with of course with some kind of an regulation that you cannot keep more than 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees in that wallet. Because if you lose that wallet, you lose the money. Like your current paper currency, if you lose a wallet, you lost your money. Similarly, if it's not account linked, if it's not online, then you lose that wallet, you lose the money. So of course there's a danger in that, but something is happening. RBI started giving it. The unfortunate part is there's a war going on between the bank and the telecom companies. Telecom companies have launched wallets. Airtel has launched wallet, that is Airtel Money, Vodafone, M-Pesa, and Tata is, I don't know whether they are launched or not, but they were supposed to launch. I work very closely with Tata. Now, banks are feeling that they are encroaching on their territory. I mean, the telcos are encroaching on the bank's domain. Money is primarily a bank's prerogative. Whereas telcos, they feel it's their business, they're doing it. Who will win the war, we don't know. But in the process, what is happening is banks are trying to stall, or they are trying to see to it that telcos don't win this. They don't allow this mobile money to come in. And banks are right now just taking a stand of waiting and watching what's happening. World over, telcos have tried this in other countries. Nobody has succeeded, at least to my knowledge, trying to get into the money space. Just to give an example, if they can do it, Airtel is the largest music company in the country. It's not T-Series, it's not HMV. If you see the balance sheet of Airtel, their revenues are much more than T-Series or HMV or Saregama. And something they're trying to do something similar on the money part. And that's what banks don't like. They don't want these telcos to come to or encroach on the area of banking.
To add some color to that, we're talking mobile commerce, and I'm sure Saran will agree that, and even Alokdeep, that the usual ASPs that we are talking about for e-commerce today, wallets are not significantly empowered to address those kind of purchases, because they're like a non-linked account wallet will always have limited money in there and the effort of transferring in money there. So we feel that for smaller ticket items like recharges do really well through wallets, but for product purchase it has some way to go before it becomes significant.
I was working with the project where we were trying to launch India's first payment brand, something like Master Visa, long back, years back. We had a hybrid model, so it's an account link. The money gets transferred into your wallet only up to the limit of 500 rupees. So that if you lose only 500 rupees, and that means you also going to transact small value. Okay. Today with these electronic payments, the cost of transaction is pretty much high. With a mobile, that low value transaction of 10 rupees, 15 rupees is possible. The cost can really go down. In fact, it's very low. With the electronic, because the data has to travel from one point to in a secure format, the cost of transaction is definitely high today. So small ticket items like 10 rupees, 15 rupees transaction can happen, and we can have a hybrid model.
I'd like to add my 2 cents to the overall wallet piece. So when I used to work for a bank, there used to be this classic debate whether we've gone into mobile banking, whether we should get into the wallet. So there are models which are today, I wouldn't call it models, they're actually just pilots in isolation, which a bank is, it's a bank-led model, it's a telco-led model, or it's an intermediary-led model. But it's a little unfortunate that in the last 4 years or so, where we've seen such, all of them come about, I'm not sure if any of them has seen transaction, I would say traction in the real numbers story. The same thing was that when IMPS was launched on a B2C, then it was on a model where you could pay to merchants. So that's another model. And then there are models which probably the MasterCards and the Visas of the world are working on. So somewhere I think in all this story, people have actually forgotten what the end consumer wants. So we've just tried to ape what was done in maybe a Kenya or was done in elsewhere in the African geographies, where the use case was completely different. Most of these countries are completely unbanked, while India also to a large extent, about 50% of Indians are unbanked Indians. But the analogies that we drew that it would be a simple copy and paste, that doesn't work. doesn't work in any geography, it doesn't work in India altogether. So people have ventured into solutions which are USSD or SMS. Tell me something, if a person who's illiterate or where this whole piece, or even I would say for literate individuals, who has the pain quotient to go through a list of some 8 syntax or 20 syntax that press 1, now you will get into the menu, press 3, now you will get into transaction. So nobody has the patience to do that. So somewhere we need to look at, I would say, a consolidation of technologies, whether it is data or USSD or SMS, and look at what the end consumer wants and build a tailor-made solution for him, rather than hinging the battle between the bank is doing wrong or the telco is doing wrong. The telco has the distribution, the bank has the product. So somewhere there has to be a bridging of the gap, which maybe an RBI or a TRAI at their level should best find a solution for that, rather than all these models in isolation. For mobile commerce, as I think he rightly brought it, I don't personally see a use case for the wallet story, because it's typically a purchase where nobody will get into the nuances of first parking his money into the wallet and then doing a transaction. The kind of the products that we sell in the retail industry or even in the travel industry per se.
Yeah, in order to save time, do you mind if we start Q&A a little bit?
Hi. My question is directed towards Saran. You were very correctly mentioning about simplifying the payment process. You know, you don't want your users to go to a checkout page and then a payment gateway and then you know, a bank verification, a credit card number, a PIN number, a CVC number, and the whole 9 yards. You don't want all that. At the same time, you don't want to make it so easy that if I lose my phone or if somebody just picks up my phone, I don't want unauthorized transactions. So it's a very delicate balance. And how is Flipkart planning to address this very delicate balance, this fine line?
Sure, I'll give you a very specific example of how we're trying to attack. Give a very specific example as to how we're trying to attack it. It's not the only one, but I'll just given you ask this question. So on, we were thinking there's a lot of failure points here, right? When I say the checkout process, there is payments as a big part of that checkout process, but there's a lot of other steps there as well. And each step has its own sort of failure point, right? There's a drop off. So one way we were thinking was, why do we need all of this information? We could just get we have a lot of information about this user. How do we make it sort of easy for that user to be able to not give some of the information that we already have? And is there a way to kind of complete this process offline? So, you tell me I'm interested in this is my address, just complete order. And you would get a call back within, say, X minutes, just to get your payment details. So that we save you the hassle, especially on a mobile device, right? To save you the hassle of trying to enter all of that information if you've not saved or stored all of this. If you've done all of that for you, then you make it easy for you to apply all of that. If you've not done that, what we see today, like most of the order processing that's happening is sort of non-logged in users, right? The people that are, for whatever reason, are not logging in to complete these transactions, right? So can we make it easy? So one example would be that. So I won't go into too much details. You'll sort of soon see it coming. But that would be one way we are thinking of trying to sort of address that problem on a mobile device.
And how specifically do you prevent unauthorized usage? Because that would be making it very easy. So the question is more on unauthorized usage.
So there are checks and balances, right? So for a user, in terms of time that user to that device, to a certain sort of identity checks, right, that you have. So we even for a guest user, right, there are a bunch of identity checks that we go through. Even when a person actually calls us, to complete a certain order, or to give us more details, or to complete a certain transaction that he's not been able to complete online. So there are a bunch of these identity checks that happen anyways before we even proceed with. So, however, some of this information is already sort of natively captured, based on, for instance, simple question like, when did you last visit Flipkart? Or simple question like, when did you, I'm just giving you some examples of identity checks that we do just in a very basic format. Does that answer your question or?
Yes, yes. It's more about how do we maintain that balance between easy and unauthorized access.
It is, it is again, it's a learning for us, to be honest. I can't say that I have the sort of the complete answer for you, but it's a learning process. So we are experimenting with these options. Again, the goal being to make the life of a user much easier and simpler. That's the overall objective, and now it's a learning process.
So, sorry, we'll just, if you want to finish, yeah.
Maybe that last line I want to add to it is that a lot of it is not in our control, because it's RBI regulation and stuff that we need to follow. So while we might like a single click checkout process because we think it's smooth, what RBI tells us is that, look, after we introduce two-factor authentication, the transactions really shot up. So people love it. So in the stage of evolution that India is at, they like that extra layer of security. So maybe we also evolve as the legislation evolves. And I think that's the biggest guiding factor in the processes that we or any of us choose out here.
We'll just have that last question, yeah.
So does the panel agree that 40 to 50% of the sales can happen through mobile by 2016 or 2017, or would it be too late by 2020 or 2030 actually? So based on the trends that we see now, on the expectations for future, we just wanted to get the views.
Yes. But then it necessarily does not mean the ubiquitous mobile phone. It also means the entire tablet, all of it. So I can comfortably say that we can expect about 40% of transactions. We are in 2013, right? It's 3 years from now. There are a lot of technologies which are sitting on the doorstep. That's what even BCG and the McKinsey of the world predict. So
I have no doubt about it that by 2016 this number will be breached, and I say this because of a couple of trends. First of all, even in our business, the kind of mobile growth that we are seeing is a ballistic growth, unseen. Numbers are just breaching a record week after week, month after month, kind of a thing, and hence that number looks pretty achievable. Second thing which I'll say is the smartphone penetration in India is growing at an amazing pace. If you look at current state, there are more than 25 million Android phones which are active in India, and India makes one of the largest contribution in terms of net new additions into the Android devices. So smartphone is really penetrating, and that's making it big.
The IDC recent report says that India had the largest growth in smartphone imports, whatever we may call it, in the last quarter.
The third trend which is supporting this is the data usage in the country. Way back in 2007, the data cost was about 300 or 400 rupees for a month of usage. Then it came down to 95 rupees a month for 1 GB data plan for the month. And after that, I used to take care of Google's mobile at that point of time. The amount of data usage growth that we saw in the country, India, was mind-boggling. India is one of the largest countries in terms of the search volume contribution on mobile to Google. And that number is again growing at an amazing pace. So put together these few of these trends, and another trend is the smartphone device cost is going down in India. Today, Micromax has got 5,000 rupee Android device phone with a capacitive touch screen, which makes the experience pretty awesome. Given all these trends in the industry, I have no doubt that this number of 40% will be breached by 2016.
Sorry to cut it short, but we'll take all the other questions offline. Is that okay? Thank you again, all the panelists.